I think the biggest challenges are, I know certainly for the Army, that our senior leaders are dealing with is, do you put it all in for today? Okay? Is it all about today's readiness, or is it about the future? There's only so much resource to solve every nation's problems. In your team, there's only so much resource, squad, platoon, as you go up, and you guys all advance. Some tremendously young leaders right in here I can see. There's always just so much that you have available, and you have to decide. And one of the things I would encourage all of junior leaders is practice making decisions. Don't punt on a tough decision, because it's just like anything else. If you don't train your mind, body, and soul a little bit on how to make hard decisions, guess what? When the tough one comes, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be ready. So right now, our nation, as it takes a look at what do we prepare for? Do we prepare for those threats that are right there in front of us? Or do we modernize? Do we modernize? Do we take some of the resource away from the current fight in order to make sure we're ready 10 years from now? It might be a scary proposition, but if you take a look at some of the weapon systems we have in our Army, they've been around a long time, right? We still have some Vietnam-era stuff that's moving down the pike, And so when we start thinking about tanks and aircraft and ships for our Navy brethren and all that, that's a multi-generational decisions in some time when you make that. And every time you make it, you got to hold back a little bit on the current fight to kind of make the next big move. Well, what's your next big move in your, young Army careers? What's the big move, right? What are you investing for? Every one of you save, right? You put a couple dollars away? No, not all of you. All right, some of you looking to Saturday that's your investment strategy, right? And, really, if you don't start thinking about the balancing that you got to do in terms of prioritization, then at some point you're going to be calling a friend, all right? Hey, you got $10 I can borrow? So I think right now it is you look out the world, and it's as volatile as I've ever seen it. I haven't been around for a century, but, I certainly have read history. And in my lifetime, when I take a look at the threats that just kind of happened to be there, when I was in the Army during the Cold War, and even though it was a very, very significant threat, it was very clear. It was very clear. And both sides had navigated those waters enough to kind of know where the red lines were, But right now, when you take a look at it, you take a look at the host of threats that are apparent for our nation and our allies, it's not as clear. And it's tough. I think it's real hard. So that's kind of what I think. So when you start thinking about, hey, when am I going to get the next piece of kit? Here at Basic Combat Training, I get tired of seeing trainees going around. Part of it is OCP and part of it is UCP, But it's a recognition that we're making sure we're filling the combat forces first, okay? Before we come here, there's always hard decisions to be made. But you can translate that right down to where you are right now. What else?